Back with a lazy man's guide to Kraken. Now, this team here, fortunately works, and there's not so many units I have geared here. I actually only have 2 units geared, as you'll see. Now, Sobin does have her EE, and Yang and Dorothy both have their gear because they are both on my dive teams. So I'm not trying to ungear them, and I wanted to make sure that this guide would work with pretty much any setup as far as gear. You can basically autofill almost everybody, and it will still pass. Now, funny thing, something I discovered while doing this is that you don't need gear on your first 2 characters to pass the hit check. And if you don't have an A-Speed Kemhana, ASY with Chorus, or just Chorus in general, if you don't have the A-Speed Kemhana, will work just as well. ASY being a replacement for Mavka if you don't happen to have her, but honestly, Mavka does more damage than ASY, so it's preferred to use her instead. And we really don't need much of a front line, but I didn't really know where to put Seal. Make this more optimal, I guess, but she works out fine here. And then, of course, we have Eve coming out, and you'll notice that my Ecclesia is pretty far back, and that's because if you deploy her too soon, well, her perfect evasion, she doesn't get knocked back when your whole team gets knocked back. So she ends up being up in the front away from any shields or heal or buffs or anything, and she kind of ends up getting herself killed. So her coming out that late actually works out well. And same with Regina. Regina coming out late is okay. We do want her out at a reasonable time so she's able to stack her own buff. After a while, she can actually give herself 100% attack buff, which is really nice when you don't have any gear on her. But because she does have the origin buff, she does do, I think it's 30% more damage, maybe it's 40% more damage. So having an additional 40% damage with no gear on, it makes this a lot easier, to be honest. But once we get to this point, I mean, we're basically just sitting back watching. We don't really get to take too much advantage of this groggy buff. But between Chris and Sky and Ecclesia, we get a lot of surefire time, which you'll sit there and see the boss's HP bar start to drop pretty quickly whenever those effects go off. Now, of course, that is a beautiful ult by Ecclesia, best skin in the game, honestly. And then, of course, when we have Mavka sitting there ulting, she's giving herself some surefire as well. And then coupled with all the buffs that we brought onto this team, it makes us go by a lot quicker, especially if you have gear on. Now, we kind of cut it close here anyways with how little gear that we have, but honestly, I don't even pay attention to my raids once I start them, and I go off to do other things, so however long it takes is fine by me. And of course we see Eve carrying the team here, but I mean, honestly, Eve, Mavka, and Regina all did pretty good damage without any gear on. So instead of doing a gear guide, what I'm going to do is a replacement guide, just in case you're missing anybody on this team. So for Mavka, best replacement is going to be Awakened Soyun. There's not really a better option other than that. If you don't happen to have Kim Sobin quit lying, she's literally given to us. But if you don't have her EE, you can use a Rochi, Amelia Range, or Lambda instead. Yang everybody can get, so not an issue. Sinjia is pretty much the same, but if you don't happen to have Sinjia but have Dorothy, you can use Dorothy instead here. Don't really have a good replacement for Sinjia, but once Swan comes out, she'll probably be a good option. For Seal, Chifuyu's probably the best bet in my opinion. For Plaga, Rearm Gayun or Doma will probably be a good option. Everybody should have Sky. She comes in selectors now. You don't have Spencer, Rearm Gayun, or Doma will be good options. For Eve, Jacko or any high-hitting Awakened. Ecclesia, there's not really a good replacement here. She brings a lot to the team already, especially without proper gear. Regina, she's really good on this boss, honestly, but another high hitting Awakens will sit there and do the trick. Same for Chris. Now Maria, she's farmable, so there's not really an excuse not to have her. If you don't have Lonely, Roy is probably your best bet. And if you don't happen to have Dorothy, Soyun, were not really optimal for this, will probably be the best bet for her replacement. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope this helps you clear Kraken while being lazy about it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're feeling extra special, you can join the Mage Institute by clicking the join button. You can catch me on Discord, link is in the description. And if you want to support this channel, there's a link in the description for that too. As always, I will see you all next time.